If you are losing weight because you want to feel better, be in less pain, be healthier, all of these things, that's phobic, okay?
What? What the fuck? Moderation is the most important skill anyone needs to develop to live a healthy and productive lifestyle. For many, it's far easier to totally swear off of something than it is to regulate your intake of it. From seemingly mundane things like a particular candy you can't control yourself around, to more life-ruining vices like drugs and alcohol. Struggling with maintaining moderation is a very common part of the human experience. However, there are some who take their struggle in a different direction.
Join my petition calling on the FAA to require all airlines to have a written official customer of size policy for plus-size travelers. This policy will provide accessible additional seats, clear communication, reimbursement, accommodations, and employee training. As my petition states, all plus-size passengers should be provided with an additional seat or 2 or 3 depending on their size and need during a flight for comfort. My petition is about ensuring that every individual has access to safe and comfortable air travel. It's not just about plus-size individuals, but also about individuals with disabilities who may require additional space or accommodations to travel safely and comfortably. By having regulations in place that protect plus-size individuals, it would also benefit those with disabilities, ensuring that they have the space and accommodations they need to travel comfortably. In July of 2022, the U.S. Department of Transportation issued a 16-page document including a Bill of Rights for airline passengers with disabilities. As a plus-size traveler that lives with disabilities, I want to talk to you about it right now.
The fat acceptance movement isn't particularly new, but it's been especially loud recently. A prime example is a petition titled Demand for the FAA to Protect Plus-Size Travelers, which started April 2nd, 2023, and currently has 35,000 signatures as of writing. The primary purpose of the petition, in their eyes, is as follows. The FAA should mandate that all airlines have a comprehensive customer of size policy that prioritizes the comfort and well-being of all passengers. While this sounds like something one might agree with on the surface if they didn't think harder about it, upon further inspection one might realize this statement is somewhat self-contradicting. The policy explicitly states it's a customer of size policy, but then tries to state its purpose is to benefit all passengers. This makes no logical sense. As you'll see based on their demands, they're really only centered around these customers of size. Giving them the benefit of the doubt, though, and looking into what they actually propose will welcome you into the mind of those entitled to the point of near insanity. Their list of demands includes, but is not limited to, as many free seats as they need, as well as specialized training for every employee with the purpose of being capable of taking care of the extremely morbidly obese. What it amounts to is not fair and equal treatment, but highly specialized care for a group who have essentially allowed themselves to be in the situation they're in. For the vast majority of people who are 400 plus pounds, while being such a weight puts them in a position they're essentially disabled, are perfectly capable of changing their habits to leave the position they have put themselves in. It's extremely disingenuous to try and attach poor life choices to things people are born with or have happened to them that are completely outside of their control, for with which they have minimal or no means to recover. This isn't to say obesity and disability are mutually exclusive, just that one is not the other. It is extremely simple to lose weight. To be fair, it is extremely difficult as a person of size to do the supposed simple thing to lose weight. But the simplicity remains the same. If you consume less energy than you use, you will burn the excess energy stores in your body and lose weight. It's as simple as that. You don't have to work out. You don't have to exercise at all. You can eat whatever you want and live a totally sedentary lifestyle while still losing weight. You could eat chocolate cake every day and live a sedentary lifestyle and lose weight. If your body needs 2 kcal and you give it 1.6 kcal, it doesn't matter where they came from, you still lose weight. That's where the hard part comes in. When I say you can eat what you want to eat has to be within your caloric limit. If the amount of cake you eat every day is 100 calories, then you can totally do that and be fine. But it's pretty hard to go from eating as much as you want to just a tiny bit and then putting it away and not going back to it. I know. I've been there. What worked for me was finding foods that were filling enough and low calorie that I could feel full and still not go over my limits. Rice was the first thing, and now recently oats have been working fantastic.
Fantastic.
Unfortunately, what works for one person isn't going to magically work for everyone else. If that were the case, none of us in any of these videos here would be here in these videos making these videos here.
It's so fucked up to say, but like I guess physically, like you're not as fit as I would prefer personally. I would say like you evened out at around a 6. 5.
You get a 9 from me, for sure. Yeah, you look good.
I've been out here getting low-ass ratings.
Another example from this behavior from the fat acceptance movement and their refusal to take accountability for themselves and their life choices can be seen in how some plus-size people regard themselves in the dating scene. People are allowed to have preferences, especially if they put in the effort and are expecting the same level of effort to be put in. That is perfectly reasonable. You are not fat phobic or skinny phobic because you're not attracted to fat people or skinny people. I'll say it too. You're also not racist for being attracted to or not attracted to a particular aesthetic of an ethnicity. To a particular aesthetic of an ethnicity. Notice I didn't say being attracted to a race, because that sounds like fetishizing someone's heritage, and I don't see how that could be a good thing. The point is, if you ask someone to rate your attractiveness, and you possess traits they are not attracted to, then chances are they are going to rate your attractiveness poorly. When it's something like being overweight, you should be able to understand and accept that. If people are being cruel to you for it, then that's not okay. But it's not cruelty to be human and unable to control what you're attracted to. So long as they're consenting and legal, you fucking degenerates.
Oh, there's this trend of like, here's what I eat in a day is like a cute, skinny girl. Well, now there's like,
Here's what I eat in a day as a overweight girl.
it's crazy. And this one on its own is relatively harmless. Like, she's not saying that being overweight is healthy and fine. But you have these other people saying that wanting to lose weight in and of itself is fat phobic.
If you are losing weight because you want to feel better, be in less pain, be healthier, all of these things, that's fat phobic, okay?
While I do honestly believe moderation is an extremely important thing for people to learn, for those who don't care and wish to live their life how they want, I can still respect their decision to do so. That comes with the caveat that they can't have their cake and eat it too. If you want to live an unhealthy lifestyle, don't try to glorify it or justify it. Be realistic and own it. If anything, being part of the fat acceptance movement shows how you've internalized your shame and you need the world around you to reassure you because the inner voice inside your head is screaming from the amount of back and knee pain it's been suffering through. It's one thing to be unhealthy, but it's another to promote that lifestyle to other people and potentially convert more people into eating their way into an early grave.
Overweight, like, just work out. But my sister brought up a really, like, mind-blowing point. When you're being fat phobic, you're also being a little bit classist. Have you heard of this argument?
I've not heard of that.
When you're somebody who has less money, it's a lot easier to be overweight.
To buy a whole meal at a grocery store is a lot more expensive. But if you go, like, to say a McDonald's, they have like $1
Or Little Caesars.
yeah, you could get pizza for $10 to feed your whole family. And like groceries, that would come out to what, like 30, 40 bucks or 50, depending on how big your family is.
To even have time to work out is also a privilege. A lot of people who are like lower income, they're working to get by, bro. They're working long hours, long shifts. They're not going to have time to even work out. Like, obviously, they're going to be overweight.
Or like they're too tired to cook, so they're just buy a piece of pizza.
It's not necessarily anybody's fault, right? It's not necessarily an ugly thing because people can't help but be overweight.
Hold on, Tom! I'll let you finish in a minute! Like Tom will state about fast food being cheaper than restaurants, but not grocery store food. He does use the wrong data for the average price.
By using McMenu.com, we can see that the average price of a quarter pounder with cheese meal is $11.
Average price of a quarter pounder with average price of...
So he leaves out things like condiments or lettuce, tomato, onions, bacon, what other stuff people like to put on their burgers. But, those are the kinds of things that you don't have to buy every time, and it would still be cheaper in the long run to buy the groceries and cook the meals. He also could have been more realistic about the order, as a poor family trying to save money wouldn't get 4 meal combos, they'd buy a bunch of items from the dollar menu. Bacon McDoubles average $3 and a small fry averages $2. Everyone knows you don't buy soda from a fast food place, you just grab some cheap bottles from the grocery store. So to feed a family of 4, assuming everyone eats 2 burgers and a fry, is like $32. Still not terribly far from Tom's original guesstimation, though. The closest to a valid point they had was when they were talking about people not having enough time. People are humans. They don't want to spend all their time doing chores. So they'll often spend a little bit of money to not have to cook a meal, especially when they're parents who work jobs and have a bunch of mouths to feed. Like they say in their video, that's not anyone's fault. But at the same time, if you put in the extra effort, you probably could do better and get more out of your time. Again, like Tom will state, doing a weekly shopping trip and some meal prep would go miles to giving you what you need and the spare time too. Putting in the effort is hard, but it's also rewarding. Another thing they're dead wrong about is diet. We've already been over about how it doesn't matter what you eat as long as you count your calories. The same is especially true of people who work. Having a hard labor-intensive job puts you in the perfect position to have the highest deficit possible. If you could just control your eating habits, you'll be fine. Even if you're at a desk job, as long as you're not snacking away, wasting calories all day, it's still better than just actually being sedentary. I tried not to just use Tom's words one for one here, but he makes quite a few statements that I just couldn't say better myself. And, there was a few things I wanted to correct a little bit, though. It wasn't a big deal, though.
Now, what this girl just said is completely wrong. Fast food is convenient and cheap compared to other restaurants, but fast food is not cheap overall compared to grocery store food. Let's just do the math real quick. Let's say you have a family of 4 and you want to take them to McDonald's. 2 adults and 2 teenagers we're talking about here, okay? The average American family. By using McMenu.com, we can see that the average price of a quarter pounder with cheese meal is $11. That's a quarter pounder with fries and a drink. Multiply that by 4 and you have a $44 order of McDonald's, which is pretty expensive, especially if you're making minimum wage. How much would it cost you to make that meal at home? Well, on Walmart, when you search up ground beef, the first result is a 2.5 pound tray of ground beef, which is $12. Now, this is already a ton of food and can be used for multiple meals. I mean, if you think about it, you can use that beef one night for burgers, one night for tacos, and probably another night for something else. This 2.5 pound tray of ground beef is the equivalent of 10 quarter pounders in terms of the meat available, but the 1 pound of beef option is $6.50, which is the exact amount of meat you would need to make 4 quarter pounders at home. Burger buns are $2, American cheese is $2.50, which rounds out the ingredients for the burgers to about $10. The price of 1 quarter pounder from McDonald's is the same price as all of the ingredients needed to make that meal for 4 people at home. And if you really want to be complete about the meal, fries are $3.50 for 2 pounds. And those fries and any leftover cheese or meat or burger buns can be used for other meals as well. You don't have to throw that out. And so therefore, it's about $13 or $14 in total. Maybe you can round up to like 15 if you want to get pickles to make a quarter pounder with cheese meal for 4 people, which is like a third of the price of the McDonald's order we just calculated. The truth is that McDonald's and other fast food is not particularly affordable, and you're much better off just buying these ingredients. And while a burger is never going to be that healthy, undoubtedly this option is much better for you than the processed shit that McDonald's is going to give you. It's definitely more filling, and you can make it yourself at home instead of having to drive to McDonald's and drive back, which could be a 5-minute drive one way, or it could be a 20-minute drive one way. And to even use this girl's comparison around pizza dough is like $2.50, pizza sauce is $2, mozzarella is $2.22, pepperoni is $2.75, so it's like $10 once again to make a pizza. As for having the time to work out, this actually does make sense. Like you definitely have less time to work out if you have longer hours, and obviously that time is more valuable to you. The gym membership can be expensive. So do you really have time for that? No, maybe not. I think that if you really want to be dedicated to working out and you don't have a lot of money, I mean, you can do things like push-ups, like sit-ups, you can go for a run. That's undoubtedly good exercise, but I acknowledge the fact that it does take quite a bit of time. And if you do have a little free time and you've just worked a 10-hour shift and you have a family, you probably want to spend that time with your family, so, you can be reminded about the fact that there is a point to life that isn't stocking shelves, right? But at the same time, if you want to be healthy, if you want to eat economically, then you should go grocery shopping once a week, and on your off days, do a little meal prep instead of going to McDonald's. You're way better off going to the grocery store, after work, go home, make food. Now, is it easier for someone who's super rich to be healthy? Yes, I think there's no doubt about that. But it's not impossibly difficult for someone in a poor financial situation to be healthy or healthier. Don't drink soda. Don't eat junk food. Make meals at home when you can. Buy things in bulk. Budget your finances. And I think these people are coming from a good place here, but a lot of what they say comes across as pure copium. Because at the end of the day, there is a level of personal responsibility that has to be accepted.
I'm giving you a warning. This is your warning. Okay, I've warned you.
So, tell me, what's it like being blind?
So, listen, this one's easily the best one where we're easing into it. But I just have a problem with the idea of people using like fat as an insult to themselves or to others. You know what I mean? Like, it is a big problem. It is fat phobic. Like, being like, I'm fat, and having your boyfriend being like, no, are you blind? As though being fat is like the worst thing and it's a bad thing. It's not. We should stop using fat in a derogatory way. We should stop using it as like a something that you have to be like, no, you're not. No, you're beautiful, because you can be fat and beautiful. Those two things can and do coexist. So we need to stop being like, I'm fat, and having people be like, no, you're not. This is not a problem. It's a body type, and it's not something that we need to tell people that they aren't. You know what I mean? Like, it's unimportant, and being fat doesn't mean you aren't beautiful. Like, this girl isn't fat. That is just true. But we don't need to talk about it in a negative light and use it as a way to insult ourselves. This is just a weird TikTok. It's got weird energy. I don't like it.
As a proud member of the LGBTQT+ nation, and one queer to another, I have to say this with complete earnesty to you, my friend, the queer Kiwi. Shut the fuck up, you stupid queer. In the TikTok, he just says she's blind. Like, you're literally not fat. Shut up. There's nothing fat phobic about wanting to lose a little bit of chub. If anything, this is the opposite. It's body acceptance. He's telling her that she's fine the way she is. You literally took something that would support your cause and turned it into something against it. Why do you feel the need to victimize other people? Do you do this often with other groups? No one ever said that you can't be fat and beautiful. Who said that? Like that's the silliest part of the whole thing. You know, besides the elephant in the room, that obesity causes death, and death bad, and the laundry list of other bad shit that comes along with it. But you can't just write it off as not mattering and unimportant when it will quite factually change not just your quality of life, but your longevity too. It's one thing for an obese person to be spouting this nonsense. They have a personal emotional stake in it. What's your emotional stake in this? Like, maybe do you have like fat people in your life that you'd prefer if they were like they felt better about their lifestyle? But like if that were the case, wouldn't you want them to be around for the next 50+ years and enjoying that time, not needing a bunch of medical checkups? I just don't understand your position as anything other than virtue signaling to people wanting to play the victim. Also, another thing about it being a body type, that's like saying being anorexic is a body type. You might be able to argue how technically it's a type of body that can be found, but there's no wiggle room on the facts of what's a healthy and sustainable body type. Obesity is neither healthy nor sustainable. This insanity is pretty par of the course these days. It's not a new thing, it's always existed, it's just that people can broadcast themselves now and find audiences who agree with their crazy shit. Unfortunately, that can lead sensible people down terrible paths and spread the insanity further. Something that was once laughed off as harmless schizo posting is quickly turning into Twitter and TikTok communities with hundreds of thousands of people who all seem to believe in the wildest and easily to be proven false things. Rhetoric like, being so obese you need 4 plane seats, and they should all be free seats, and that should be normalized. That's something that thousands of people will attach themselves to these days. It's just something that thousands of people will now attach themselves to, without even blinking an eye. Lord Xenu help us all.